Welcome back to another episode of Tell It to the World. Today we're talking about how YouTube is requiring all of its content creators to be in compliance with COPPA, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, in which they now have to label their videos for children or not for children. Now, not only YouTube, but Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, and the other big tech companies have actually gone to the Vatican to meet with them to combat what children view online, even pornography. What are the spiritual implications? Find out on this episode of Tell It to the World.
Getting some breaking news this morning involving Google's YouTube business. Our Elon Mui is in Washington, D.C. with details. Good morning, Elon.
Good morning, guys. Well, Google will be paying regulators $170 million to settle accusations that YouTube repeatedly violated the law that protects the privacy of children online. Now, under this agreement, Google will pay $136 million to the FTC and $34 million to the New York State Attorney General's office. In addition, YouTube must set up a system for content creators to designate their videos as designed for kids. The FTC said this is the first time any platform has been required to do that, and it will conduct sweeps of YouTube in order to ensure compliance.
All right, so Charlie, let me show you this article here. It says YouTube's new kids content system has creators scrambling. So let me tell you exactly what's going on. Basically, right now, YouTube, they have announced to all of its content creators that they're going to have to label each and every one of their videos to indicate if it is for children or not for children. And this is because recently YouTube has been in violation of an act called Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA. And it forbids collecting data from children under the age of 13 without explicit consent from their parents. So just to illustrate that, let me give you an example. So, anytime you're online, of course, there are algorithms which are collecting data on the type of things you watch online so that they can suggest to you other videos to watch and other ads based upon what you like. But if you're under 13, you can't do that. So this is why they're requiring every single content creator on YouTube to now label their videos. Is it for children or is it not for children? But once they label it as for children, here are some of the things they will not be able to do anymore.
If you set your content as made for kids, what does this mean for your channel? We will start limiting the data we collect on made for kids content to comply with the law. Because of this, videos that you mark as made for kids will be treated differently on YouTube. Some features like comments will no longer be available. Most importantly, those videos won't show personalized ads, so some creators may see a decrease in revenue. What other features will no longer be available if I set my content as made for kids? Starting in January, if you mark a specific video as made for kids, features like comments, personalized advertising, info cards, end screens, and more won't be available on individual videos. If your entire channel is set as made for kids, your videos won't have any of those features. Your channel also won't have stories, the community tab, the notification bell, and your viewers won't be able to save to watch later or save to playlist. Keep in mind that these restrictions are to follow the law.
Just based upon what I've shared with you, what are your thoughts on YouTube and even the government's crackdown to prevent child exploitation?
I think protecting children is very important. It's a vulnerable population, and as I think everyone can attest, the internet can be a very scary place at times. So I think it's good that they're trying to do something. Whether or not this is the right path, I don't know. But it's a complicated issue. I mean, internet access is so easy to achieve by anyone. Even if a kid, if you really wanted to, you could go on your parents' computer, you go to a library or something. I mean, everyone has a phone now too. So I think a larger part of that responsibility is going to have to be put on parents, and trying to get parents to really have a closer eye on their kids and try to more closely monitor what they view online. So I think it's an important thing to care about. I'm glad that they're trying to do something. I don't know if that's the best thing to do, but I don't know of a better way.
I guess generally it's probably a good thing, or at least the intention is good. I think that it's a, it's I guess it's good that they're taking steps towards that direction because kids are easy to exploit online, I guess just in general, but yeah, like with the YouTube algorithm, there's some kind of rough stuff that you can get into, especially if you're younger and don't know what you're looking at really. So yeah, I think that kind of thing is probably a step in the right direction.
Okay. Well, looking at it from the content creators' perspective, it's going to restrict some of their freedoms as it relates to creativity and even defining their audience and even their pockets. It'll affect the amount of revenue they can make because now their videos might not be found if it is, labeled as for children. And even going deeper than that, let's say they mislabel their videos. They will be fined over $42,000 per video that is mislabeled.
This action is changing YouTube's business model, that YouTube cannot bury its head in the sand. YouTube cannot pretend that it's not aware of the content on its platform and hope to escape liability for COPPA. YouTube is going to be explicitly held liable for complying with COPPA where it has actual knowledge of the content. YouTube is going to be required to seek out that actual knowledge through requiring content creators and channel owners to specifically designate whether they are directed to children. And as the chairman noted, not only can we sue Google and YouTube for compliance with COPPA, but also individual channel owners and content creators. And once this order has been fully implemented, we intend to conduct a sweep of the YouTube platform to determine whether there remains child-directed content on the platform with respect to which personally identifiable information continues to be collected. There will be consequences for content creators who misdesignate, including being kicked off the YouTube platform. So if content creators are not sincere or forthcoming with YouTube and designating content as being directed to children, there will be consequences for them. We also think that YouTube has strong incentives to police its platform, both to avoid future enforcement actions by the FTC, but also because it's offering this platform to content creators. And if the FTC is bringing independent piecemeal actions against content creators for violating COPPA, that may discourage content creators from posting content on YouTube. So the analogy that I think of, imperfect, is the expression about shooting fish in a barrel. And YouTube is the barrel, and the content creators are the fish. And so it's a place where this content is centralized, and essentially it's easy for us to find.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so do you think it's going to restrict freedoms for content creators because it's even going to limit their videos having comments, restricting freedom of speech?
I think it would be restrictive because if no one can access that video as fluidly or as easily as you would be able to in any other way, if you have a normal video that's very easily accessed, just type in the channel, or it pops up in your suggested, or it pops up in feeds. But if it's restricted to where you can only type in the very specific title, which no one really remembers the full title for any of the videos you watch anyways, I think that would be restrictive in some ways. I think it'd be interesting to see how content creators would react to that, because I feel like they would start really tailoring their videos instead to producing good content, and instead of producing the things that they might really wish to produce, they'd start tailoring all their videos to fit this or to suit this restriction. Mm-hmm. So I think it would be restrictive. Right.
And, this issue is bigger than just YouTube. It's actually gone to other big tech companies and even the Vatican. This is a headline. It says, at the Vatican, big tech and interfaith groups meet up to protect minors on the web. Now, we know the Vatican is the head of the Roman Catholic Church over there in Italy. And it says now the Pope, he asked cell phone companies to block minors' access to pornographic websites. So the Pope is chiming in on this issue. He's talking to cell phone companies. So can you name me some cell phone companies?
Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint.
Exactly. So he's challenging them, block children's access to porn. He's even talking to Microsoft, Apple, Amazon. So all of these big tech companies, the Vatican is chiming in on this issue. Now I want to ask you, out of all of the institutions, why do you think that these tech companies have gone to the Vatican or would meet with the Vatican to address this issue?
I think the tech companies want to start addressing things from a moral standpoint, and that everyone is being very critical of big corporations nowadays for profiting off of vulnerable populations such as children. And I think when the big tech companies reach out to the Vatican and other religious organizations, I think they're trying to take a moral standing on some of these issues and try to show people that they're trying and that they're making an attempt.
The Vatican wraps up a 2-day meeting on protecting children from internet pornography. The gathering included experts in technology, the media, and religious leaders. Yesterday, Pope Francis told the group everyone has the duty to ensure children have a good life. According to Microsoft, more than 270 images of sexual abuse of minors are uploaded to the internet every day.
Now here's the question. Why do you think that these tech giants are meeting with the Vatican when the Vatican is widely known for child abuse, and they're meeting with the Vatican under the term of protecting children? What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I would say that they're probably doing that because a lot of their clientele on their website is probably a lot of religious people, and so I bet they feel if they contact the Vatican and talk to the Pope and all of them about it, it'll give them a better outlook on what they maybe should do and probably make their reputation a little bit better regardless of what they end up doing.
I think that the problem with religion in the Vatican was probably more of a problem in the past than the present. So people are looking to the Vatican for moral guidance.
The Vatican asks the world's 5 technology giants to help protect children on the internet. Representatives from Apple, Amazon, Google, Facebook, and Microsoft will be in the Vatican this week for a meeting on child dignity, attended by organizations that help minors, experts, political, and religious leaders. During this press conference, they explained the meeting. They said one of the most worrisome points is the effect pornography has on minors.
Now, what are your thoughts about this alliance, this agenda even in combating child sexual abuse with the help of these large tech giants?
Well, I think protecting children is definitely something we need to be doing, but specifically, I am confused why with the Vatican and not just in general. I don't see why making it specifically religious is a big deal as much as just doing this in general, because there are a lot of very anti-religious people who are probably going to look at this and be like, I don't care, but in reality it's a big deal that needs to be solved.
Okay, interesting perspective. Now, many people actually share similar sentiments to you, and that they find it ironic that the Vatican is forming an alliance with these tech giants to combat child sexual abuse, seeing that the Vatican has had the largest history of child sexual abuse themselves. What are your thoughts?
I don't know enough about that to confirm or deny that's even true.
Why do you think that these tech companies would meet with the Roman Catholic Church above any other institution?
Well, the Catholic Church, I feel like it's a universal kind of church, with slavery and all that stuff. But the the church morals kind of lead up to, what the society think is good and bad. Yeah, so I think that's why technological companies would go to the church, because it's good morals. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to share with you a hypocrisy as we look at a twist in this. All right, Joella? Because even though, the Roman Catholic Church is behind, even Pope Francis is behind this movement of protecting children, from, online abuse, etc. They themselves have a track record of child abuse. You've probably heard about some of those in the news, in the media, a few months back as well. Right, exactly. And I want to share with you some of those articles here and get your thoughts on that, right? This is from the BBC as well as the New York Times, just a few of these. It says, priest jailed for planning to abuse 2-year-old, right? That's just one headline. Church ignored abuse for its reputation. Another headline, Pope orders clergy to report sex abuse. Another headline, Catholic priest jailed for abusing six children. And on the other side, this is from the New York Times, bishop named by Pope to investigate abuse is accused himself. Very interesting. Colorado report accuses 43 Catholic priests of child sex abuse. And it goes on. Hundreds of child sex abuse lawsuits flood New York courts on behalf of the Roman Catholic Church. So based on that, what are your thoughts on the Roman Catholic Church fighting child abuse online when they themselves are one of the largest entities of child sex abuse scandals?
Yeah, I think it's hypocritic, but they know what to look for because that's what they're doing. So I guess, they know what to look for.
Speak some more on that. You said you agree that it's hypocritical. You know what I mean. So how can you claim to be fighting child abuse online, joining with these tech companies when your entity, your church, again, it's not every priest, but a majority, a good amount is wrapped up in these scandals, abusing children, boys and girls. You know what I mean.
Maybe they're trying to paint a better image. Show that they're against child abuse. So they're trying to show the public that, okay, we're against child abuse. So let us, join these tech companies that are, doing these policies.
And during the time of the Protestant Reformation, the Dark Ages, the papacy was actually restricting or regulating who had access to the Bible. And so what we're seeing now with YouTube and all these other big tech companies now, they're going to the Vatican to get advice as to how to regulate their content. It's the same thing that took place in the Dark Ages where the papacy would regulate, okay, who had access to the Bible? Not the common person, only the clergy. And therefore, as you stated, the Catholic Church is an old church, but it led the way for corruption to take place and even the morals in society. So I believe that getting back to the Bible is actually our only way to be moral. And looking at this issue with YouTube from a moral and even a Christian standpoint, I'm looking at it from those religious institutions and churches who will be greatly affected because now children will not be able to access the gospel.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the original point, when it comes back to YouTube creators and their videos being regulated and restricted, I think the less restrictions they have and the more parents are involved in what their kids watch, I think the better off we all are.
All right, and I agree with you there. So, in light of this issue, seeing that as our as our rights are being taken away slowly and even subtly, it's going to continue. Bible prophecy tells us that in Revelation 13. And so looking at this issue, my choice today is just to go back to the Bible and make it my standard of morality. And even if by God's grace I have children, to teach them so that we won't have to rely so much on the government to teach them. Will you choose to do the same as well, to accept the Bible as your standard of morality? And if you have kids, teach them so?
I'll probably raise the kids in the church as I was raised in the church. I think my experience with the Catholic Church growing up was one of non-judgment and love and acceptance for all people. And I know that's not the image a lot of people have of the Catholic Church, but that's how I was raised in it, and I think that's how I'm going to raise my kids.
Well, praise the Lord, as you were raised in a loving, home and a religious background. And we're all growing. We're on this path to get to heaven. And so what I want to do for you is actually leave you with a gift here. And inside it has the book, The Great Controversy, which I reference with Pope Leo XVI. But I just hope it continues to help you on your journey and enlightens you as well.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Have a
Great
great interview. Yep.
And as I mentioned earlier, we always, twist it right back to the Bible and show what the Bible teaches about some of these events. And you mentioned, you're a Christian, or you try to be. We all try to be Christian every day of our lives. We try to follow the right path. But as we look into the Bible, even Bible prophecy, it brings to view the Roman Catholic Church, right? In the book of Revelation, chapter 13, it brings to view this leopard-like beast, right? And prophetically, symbolically, that represents the Roman Catholic Church, right? And when you go to Jeremiah chapter 13, verse 23, I want you to read that for me, because you mentioned something, interesting earlier, and you said that, they're trying to paint themselves in a better light. Yeah. But I want you to read what the Bible describes the leopard, okay? This is Jeremiah 13, verse 23.
Can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? Then may ye also do good that are accustomed to do evil.
Right. So we see here that when we read the Bible, it said that the leopard-like beast was brought to view, and we know that that's the Roman Catholic Church. And it says here in Jeremiah 13, can the leopard change its spots? Now, that may be a rhetorical question or not. Can a leopard change its spots?
No.
So will the Bible is telling us that the Roman Catholic Church cannot change its ways, even though it might put on a veneer, a facade of holiness, of sanctity. The Bible tells us that deep down, it won't change. So even as we see them joining with these tech companies, with this facade of raising awareness and protecting children from online abuse, the track record that they have show that they will not change. So it's very interesting how what's occurring today is fulfilling what the Bible is teaching, right? So what are your thoughts on that?
And the false prophet thing too with Kanye, I think he's a false prophet, of course, because that's my view on him.
Like Kanye?
Okay. So I think like what's in Revelations is taking place right now, and we need to keep watch.
We need to be watching and praying, right?
Yeah.
Amen. I agree with that. So again, thank you, Joella, for taking the time out to interview with us. All right, friends, you just saw the interview I conducted with Joella, and it was just a blessing to be able to speak with her, friends, how tying current events with the fulfillment of Bible prophecy can just be a blessing. She said afterwards, I can see how the book of Revelation is being fulfilled. And that's where we want to get their minds, friends, to show them how the Bible is being fulfilled through the current events. And of course, we left with her the great controversy, which by God's grace is going to open her eyes up to more truth. Right? So continue to keep her in prayer. Keep us in prayer, friends, as we do this work of aggressive evangelism. God bless.
Thank you so much for watching another episode of Tell It to the World. As you can see, today's information was very important for everyone to know and to understand. So for that reason, we want you to like this video, share it with your friends, leave a comment, and also don't forget to subscribe. Until next time on Tell It to the World, God bless.